Welcome to 10 Minute Magic, a bi-weekly format covering news in the world of Magic the Gathering in 10 minutes or less. I am Joseph Dunlap.
And I'm Joe Butcher. This is what's been going on in Magic the Gathering this week. Future of StarCityGames Tour possibly in jeopardy. In a post released on the 31st of October, StarCityGames president Pete Hoffling stated that during planning for the 2017 season of the StarCityGames Tour, there were queries about how the tour series would actually continue due to the external changes in the Magic the Gathering environment. He states that several brainstorming sessions did not produce any viable answers, specifically around the StarCityGames Tour itself, in-store programs, and the points and seasonal standings. In-store programs will continue to occur with game nights providing creature collection tokens and pins as normal. State championships will, however, be coming to an end due to the large amount of organisation required for the event, covering all 50 states, and that circumstances outside of StarCityGames' control made it increasingly more difficult to accommodate this requirement. Invitational qualifiers will now be evolving proportionally with the 2017 Invitational Series by taking the best elements of Invitational qualifiers and Super Invitational qualifiers to produce an enhanced prize package that will contain playmats, exclusive tokens, 2 Invitational qualifications, StarCityGames points, a minimum payout of $1,000, and more that is yet to be unveiled.
StarCityGames Tour changes. According to this week's announcement, the 2017 SCG Tour will consist of the following events. The 2017 SCG Open Tour will consist of the following events: 5 standard tournaments, 4 modern, 1 legacy, and 1 team constructed. Yes, that's right, team constructed. February's Baltimore Open will be under the team constructed format with 300 teams competing for the title. Team constructed encompasses 3 separate formats. Within each team, 1 player will be designated as the modern format player, 1 for standard, and 1 for legacy. They will then be facing their counterpart from another team. All teams with 21 points or more, at least 7 wins, or tied for 21st place or higher, will then proceed to Day 2. Tiebreakers will reset on Day 2, and the top 4 will be decided in typical single-elimination playoffs. The most vocal response to the changes to the SCG Tour across social media was in regards to the diminished Legacy events this season. In the coming year, Legacy will only have 2 Invitationals, 1 Open, and 2 Legacy Classics. Many players have begun to refer to this as the beginning of the end for Legacy, including the outspoken Saffron Olive of NTG Goldfish. Jeff Hoogland and a handful of other pro players countered this sentiment by pointing out that SCG is cutting down on Legacy events due to poor attendance, and called out the Legacy community for not attending events while they were being hosted. Amidst the outpouring of response, Cedric Phillips responded to a tweet in which Kai Booty commented on not watching many Legacy events and the low viewer and attendance numbers likely being the cause of Legacy events being cut, joking, "I promise, we make decisions based on factual information and not a beautifully designed dartboard."
Ketter fired from Cardhoarder over featured match. 2 weekends ago at SCG Milwaukee, a featured match between Ketter, content creator for Cardhoarder, on Dredge, and Frank Vanderwall on Bant Eldrazi at the start of Day 2, spawned some controversy. At the start of Game 3, Vanderwall opened up with Rest in Peace. Since Rest in Peace exiles both graveyards, this is a devastating hoser for Dredge players. On the game footage, Ketter puts his hand on the single card in his graveyard, moves it a few inches to his designated exile zone, then puts it back as Vanderwall did not announce the Rest in Peace exile trigger. After a judge is brought to the table and both players recount what happened, the judge rules in Ketter's favour and the card remains in his graveyard, until Vanderwall casts another Rest in Peace the following turn. Ketter went on, however, to win the match. A Reddit thread was created later that day calling out the interaction, which was eventually locked by a moderator. The Reddit community jumped on Ketter for poor sportsmanship and pointed out that Vanderwall may have missed his Rest in Peace trigger because he saw Ketter move his graveyard to exile. One eyewitness account on the thread says that the judge in question was not told by either player that Ketter touched his graveyard, and that Ketter called a judge because he was unsure how to proceed. Vanderwall did not contest the ruling and the game continued normally. This, however, didn't stop the Reddit community from calling for Ketter to be fired from his job at Cardhoarder. One comment, with 154 upvotes, instructed other readers to email Cardhoarder and express their displeasure with Ketter's actions directly to his employer. The following day, Cardhoarder released a statement on Reddit regarding Ketter's recollection of the events, as well as putting a hold on any final conclusions until more information was released. Cardhoarder also stated that they had been contacted by upset Magic players, saying they would never shop with Cardhoarder again if Ketter was not fired immediately, or threatening to publicly denounce the company.
Readers applauded Cardhoarder for the response, but insisted that further action should be taken in disciplining Ketter. The issue brewed for several more days until Cardhoarder announced the following week that they would be parting ways with Ketter. In their statement, Cardhoarder says, "Some individuals have provided accounts/evidence of other incidents that we found concerning. We brought our concerns to Kent, and after some discussion, we have mutually agreed to part ways." On the topic of the threats they had been receiving, Cardhoarder had this to say, "In the past week, many have demanded that we remove Kent from the team, and have threatened to attack the image and success of our business to see their demands met. We would like to make it clear that it is only additional information that has led us to this new course of action." Cardhoarder went on to say that they will soon be releasing a code of conduct for all players sporting their name. This issue sparked responses from several large names in the Magic competitive scene. Paulo Vitor Damaderosa was saddened by the issue. Sam Black openly supported Ketter's actions. Brian Browndoin jokingly called Ketter scum for not paying elitist pros when they applied for Australian visas so they could loot or not loot treasure chests. And Jeff Hooglin asked Cardhoarder whether they would defer to the angry Reddit mob in choosing the next player for them to fire. The mixed reactions to the situation provided an insight into the complicated nature of rulings and the sway that social media communities have on the decisions made by major Magic the Gathering companies. The highest voted comment on Cardhoarder's final Reddit thread had this to say, "While the MTG Reddit community seems to love its witch hunts, the anger and frustration comes from desire to better the game. Its first comment brings a pointed rebuttal. The way to hell is paved with good intentions. Those who directly attacked Cardhoarder should feel ashamed."
Peregrine Drake receives emergency ban in Pauper. For those of you who play Pauper, you are all too familiar with the card Peregrine Drake. Its ability to make itself cost-free with the effect of untapping up to 5 lands means an effectively free 4/4 flyer. Ever since the ban of Cloud of Fairies, Peregrine Drake has become more and more oppressive in the Pauper format. In fact, when Wizards announced there would be no quarterly bans, the amount of Peregrine Drake decks in the Pauper metagame doubled. Effective as of November 16th, in line with Magic Online's downtime, Peregrine Drake will no longer be a legal card in Pauper. Eric Lauer of Wizards of the Coast R&D stated that due to Izzet Drake holding a whopping 22.79% of the Pauper metagame, according to MTG Goldfish, along with its win rate increasing massively, it is significantly harming the diversity of the competitive metagame. Even with this in mind, Wizards R&D have banned the card outside of the normal banned and restricted list changes that occur with each of the 4 major set releases per year. This will only be the second ever emergency ban that a metagame has ever seen, with it being nearly 17 years since the last emergency banning of the card Memory Jar.
The Magic Bracket and Necropotent's Pumpkin. We conclude the news portion of 10-Minute Magic this week with 2 smaller stories we thought were worth mention. First, a new project has been launched called the Magic Bracket, which will ultimately decide the best card in Magic the Gathering in 2 years' time. Headed up by David Lyford Smith, the Magic Bracket is a daily poll of 32 1v1 card matchups that uses single elimination to determine the best cards in Magic. It is slated to complete in approximately 2 years. You can follow mtgbracket.tumblr.com or at mtg_bracket on Twitter to keep up with the daily brackets. Finally, we bring you the Necropotent's Pumpkin. A user on Reddit posted a photo of a pumpkin carving based on the artwork of the popular card Necropotence. The picture was an instant hit with the community, receiving such comments as, "Nothing spookier than drawing 19 cards," "You don't have to play Magic to appreciate a skull, but can you do foil?" and "I didn't know Randy Bueller had a Reddit account."
Our articles of the week. Our first article is Best Answers for Smuggler Copter in MTG by Joseph Dunlap. This article highlights the ways to deal with a 3/3 looting flyer in all slices of the colour wheel within Standard, as well as identifying any up or downsides there are to playing the hate card against such a strong card advantage engine.
My biggest focus in writing this article was actually, if you want to build a reactive deck, you have to have the best answers. So what are the best answers to Smuggler's Copter? So I hope you enjoy it. Our second article is from Jason Coles, titled, "Net decking isn't the enemy, it's a great starting point. This I personally can attest to." Jason looks into the uses of trawling the internet for similar decks to yours, but then explains the value in tweaking the deck in order to both make it your own, as well as tune it to your needs or playstyle. Joe, I just want to say, this is copy you wrote, and I've never used the word trawling before. I'm hoping my American accent did it justice, but can you say it too?
Yeah, trolling, yeah. Really? Yeah, you said it fine. You're good. Thank you very much for listening. If we missed anything you wanted to hear more about, dive deeper into, or want to let us know how much you enjoyed the show, then leave us a comment on social media or find the text form of this episode on manaleak.com/mtgUK and we will endeavour to respond to you all. You can find Joseph on Twitter
at Joseph_Dunlap.
and myself at Darth_Mulligan. Or you can follow at 10 Minute Magic on Twitter and keep in touch with us there. Until next time, bye bye.